Hey guys, this is Rick. I hope you're having a great day. Okay, we're sat in the great Orzell tent and I'm with Kate. And this is Kate. I've mentioned Kate in previous videos before as, I think, I do apologise, I've referred to her as this girl. So this is this girl. We are going to have a little chat about LARP in general, aren't we? And I think Kate's got a few tips for any new people.
Yes.
So how long have you been doing LARP?
So, oh gosh, this is my third event.
Okay. This is the Empire event.
Empire, yeah,
Right.
I've only ever done Empire.
Okay.
I've kind of been a little bit spoiled because Empire is so good that I've never really had a desire to go to anything else.
Okay.
But my first LARP was in September 2016. So technically
That's a
it's
year
been like
and
a year and a bit.
Yeah.
But if you've gone to one and then leave it for a year, it's basically your first event again.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I kind of consider myself a new person.
Actually, I've noticed, I was talking to Andrew earlier, and I was saying that you're trying to keep up with what's going on, but because it's this dynamic world and it's moving on all the time,
Keeps changing.
you can't keep up with it. You literally have to read the Winds of War and the Winds of Fortune like the day before you come out.
You do, yeah. Or just wing it.
Which is what I'm doing. This is only my second event, and I think I'm 5% more wised up on what I was last time, but there's so much more left to learn.
But can I just say, just like for the record, I'm really impressed how you turned up and completely thrown yourself into the world. It can be a really, really daunting place. I totally understand that, and I think it's so cool how you've been incredibly brave and just embraced it. I think that's the way that you should treat LARP.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm embarrassed now.
I'm going red.
But no, it's true. Yeah.
The thing is, I think I found something that's just so got my attention, and it's so different, and it's so brilliant, it's so difficult to describe as well. That's why I'm bringing in help to try to describe it. But yeah, one of the things about the house we're in is I'll show you some pictures from yesterday when it was all, because at the moment this is like, I'm not going to show you this because it looks at the moment like
the morning after
the party before, the night before. But I'll show you these pictures, which I may have shown you in a different video. And this is what this place looks like. It's just magical, isn't it? It's such a nice place to be, especially with all the candles going and everything, and especially at night time. And this is our communal tent for our house, which is Orzell. And I was chatting with Andrew yesterday about how to address people, like, because you're a noble in training, aren't you?
Yeah,
Which means
so a knight errant.
Yeah.
In Dawn you can be yeoman, and Ned's yeoman. You can be a knight errant, which is you've been given a test of mettle by an earl, so Andy is an earl. Or you can be a noble, and that means you've passed your test of mettle and you are officially part of a house. So yeah, Gronya is a knight errant and Ned's the yeoman.
Yeah. I have to say, Gronya is your character name,
Yeah.
your in-character name. It's taken me ages to learn how to pronounce it because it's spelled completely differently.
It's an Irish name.
It's spelled grainy. Grain, N-E.
Yeah.
And how that becomes Gronya,
Some Gaelic magic.
the only way I was able to learn it was when you put that video up a few weeks ago with your feathers.
Yeah. And
John
my partner
said it.
Gronya.
And I went back to that several times to try to remember it.
Well, Jeff Senior, who plays Starash, Uncle Starash in House Orzell, who used to be a general, he's lovely because in my first event he was very kind and decided to give my character a nickname. So she's known as Glee. She is Gronya the Gleeful because she's happy all the time, but people call her Glee, and that's an easier way of...
Can remember that.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're lucky, you might get a nickname. But I think Ned's pretty easy to remember.
Well, I purposely went back. I saw all these names. I thought, no, I'm going to go for something nice and simple.
Yeah.
But Ned is actually going to be your retainer.
Maybe.
He's you've asked and he said
yes. I had to pass the test first. Yeah.
Well, we looked it up because I know I keep calling him Starrick. It's Starash. Yeah. He said, "Oh, is that legal?" Because Kate is not, or
it's not
Tania is not
legal.
noble yet.
It's a bit cheeky. It's a bit cheeky.
Because I know when I mentioned it to Andrew yesterday, he raised an eyebrow. but I insisted it was all above board.
Seriously, he's popular. He's very popular.
I'm going red again, aren't I? Okay, how should Ned? Because Ned being a yeoman is more of a serving class, isn't it? A yeoman.
Yes.
It's sort of a lower class. So how should Ned address Ronya?
Oh, so that's an interesting one. So if you would have said, how should he address a noble, that's easy. You say, my lord, your grace,
Your
my
grace.
lady.
See, Andrew told me that yesterday. I completely I was trying to remember what he told me last night and I couldn't remember it. My grace. Your grace.
Your grace.
Your grace.
Your grace.
I'm going to write that down. I'm going to write it down because a couple of times
Notebooks,
I re-remembered it.
Important.
I re-remembered it and then I forgot it again. So it's my grace. Your grace. Okay. Right,
Your
so
grace.
Your
my lord.
grace. It's such a simple thing. I should be able to remember this,
Yeah.
but I'm trying. At these events, you're trying to hang on to so much information. It's crazy, and your brain reaches that saturation point, and you just can't absorb it. So it's your grace.
That's when notebooks help.
Oh, my lord.
My lord, my lady.
My lord. My lady.
My lady.
Lady.
When you're going around Dawn, so this is quite specific to Dawn. It can kind of be a good default to just call somebody my lord or my lady, because if you do say it to a yeoman, they'll be like, oh thank you.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Right.
Maybe, hopefully.
Okay.
But it's worse to not call a lord my lord or my lady.
So, how can you tell if it's not say like another yeoman? What's the telltale sign that somebody's a noble and they're not a yeoman?
Yeah, so the brief is interesting because you've got Dawn and then you've got the marches. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, the marches are basically disgruntled Dawn people, aren't they?
Yeah,
pretty much.
That's the whole other can of worms that we won't go into now. But you could say that yeomen, that they're dressed much more simply, and sometimes they might be mistaken for a marcher. But then there are ambitious yeomen, and it is fine for them to look a little more lordly. So typical yeoman women will wear like a simple kirtle, dress. Very like block colours, woolen dress. Depending on what their archetype is, like if they're an artisan, they might have the gloves on or something like that. If Nini, for example, she's got all her potions, she's a medic, things like that. They look a bit more practical, but then nobles, they're just all the bling. Bling, bling, bling.
So it's bling, it's sire or my lord. No, what is it? Sire. No, not sire.
Could you say
no,
sire?
actually, no, your grace, that's it, your grace. No, I asked Andy.
Addressing nobles.
I asked Andy about
your grace,
sire.
My lord, my lady.
And he said it probably wouldn't.
Glory face.
Glory face.
Glory face.
You're most glorious.
Your gloriousness. Yeah, that's a good one. You'll make lots of friends. You'll make lots of friends with that.
Because I'm the elder, I'm not nothing, so I don't bow to anybody.
Yeah.
So how would Ned address you then?
Mother Dobra.
Madam Dobra. So I'm going to write that down as well. Madam Dobra.
Yes. So, because we were Varushkan beforehand, the Varushkans respected age.
Right.
So just being the oldest, you could,
like
hopefully you're wise as well, but which you are, yes. So it didn't matter about titles. So Mum's kind of carried it on, even though she's a yeoman.
Yeah.
She's like.
Oh, I thought you were a lady.
No. Yeah.
See, that's the cool thing about the yeoman game is that there's different types of yeoman. So you have the retainer, who is basically like the personal assistant to a lord. So Nynaeve is Zoran's retainer.
Zoran. Yeah.
Yeah, so
that's
she
right.
will basically make sure he doesn't get in trouble.
And
They have a great relationship.
So that's Ned's job with
If she passes her test of
right,
metal.
okay.
You have to be really careful.
So until now, he's just a loyal friend,
Otherwise,
helping her on her.
they'll get jealous.
Does that mean Ned might be assassinated or something?
No,
Alright.
no. It's just drama.
Okay. Makes good
Dawn's
game.
all about drama, isn't it?
It's all about drama.
Sorry, they're just jealous. Yeah, but then there's different types of yeomen. There's the seneschal. There's what else is there?
Oh, there's a big list of them, isn't there?
Yeah,
I know
lots
I've
of different
looked through them.
types. Which is cool. Like, so you can stick as a yeoman if you want to.
Well, at the moment, yeoman works out well for me because I know so little about this. So it seems it's kind of a background role. So you can kind of I call it lurking and learning, and you just sort of hang around, and you see
That's
how
what
it
you
all
do.
works and pick up things.
It is the thing. I think for new players, particularly, is that you can just go, look. All I do is make swords, or I've spent my life in the smithy, whatever it is. I don't really know much. I've heard of these other places, but I don't really know much about them. They always sounded quite, exotic.
No pressure.
Yeah.
And you nod and you're like, yeah, I'm getting about 40% of this.
I was going to say, you hope some of it stays.
Yeah, I probably won't. By Sunday afternoon, you're just like, overflowing. Oh.
Well, I reached that saturation point fairly quickly, so so hopefully, I have my notepad with me to write things down. I think that's a real key thing.
That is one of the tips. Hello.
Well then, all right.
Hello.
If we're doing this for anybody seeing this and like they're thinking about LARP,
I know. I
and they're
gave
thinking
it to
about
Simon.
perhaps attending an Empire event, have you got any tips for them?
Oh my, okay. So I quite like the sort of situation I'm in because you're new enough to sort of relate to new players, but you've been to enough events to kind of understand what the more seasoned players are saying. So it's quite a nice place to be in terms of advice. So I've got like quite a big list.
There's a few she wrote down.
Here's a few I made earlier.
Yeah.
So don't spend all of your XP. So I've forgotten how many you get in Empire.
I bought quite a few artisan things that I can do, and I've still got 3 XP left over. Don't they build up for each event you attend?
Yes.
They
you
accumulate.
get 2 a year, I believe. So if you go on the character creation page and you've never done LARP and you're like, I don't know what I want to do, don't spend all your XP because you'll get onto the field and you'll find your way, you'll find your little niche, and then you can spend your XP. If you blow it all on things that you don't understand, then you can't go back.
Well,
Usually.
I was going to say, normally PD are pretty good in if you get in touch with them and say, look, I've done this, I've made a terrible mistake, can I reverse it? They normally, especially new, they'll honour that, and they did that with me because I started off as a medic.
Potion person.
That's right, and they changed it over, no questions asked, so that was good.
Yeah, that's good. These are very random, just to let you know, because my next one is invest in a big cloak.
I'll second that.
Yes.
Yeah. And I would say get a wool one if you can.
Wool,
because it's so warm. It's so good, especially when it's pretty chilly now.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear the rain coming down.
I'm sure they can. It's a lovely sound. I love this sound. It makes me fall asleep.
It's very relaxing, but not if you're outside in it. And LARP is outside. It's cold. You're exposed to the elements, and if you're cold, then it really does spoil your enjoyment. You can't concentrate as much, and if you've got a big warm cloak, then you'll be great. And it can also double as your blanket when you sleep. And it's just it's so worth spending the money. I got one for the new season.
Okay.
It's the best 80 quid I've spent.
Right.
Ever.
That's about what I spent on my one when I was at the last event, and I used it all the time. And it was probably the best thing I bought.
Yep. So big cloak.
Yeah.
We actually talked about this earlier. Bringing a notebook.
Okay. Yeah.
But an icy one. So this isn't really icy. You could,
IC meaning in character.
oh, sorry, in character.
There's OC and IC. In character is IC, obviously, and OC is out of character, which is like what we are now.
Fewer syllables, you know, want to save time. You could probably get away with this in character, but there are some beautiful notebooks that you can get, and in character pens as well. But if you've got somebody talking to you, then if you're writing, then you don't have to worry about keeping it all in your brain. The saturation point is put off a little bit more, and then you'll go away, and a week later you can look back in your character notebook and be like, oh right, you know, that happened and that happened.
That's actually a really good tip for life in general. Is write it down.
Yes.
I've used that method, especially if I've got a list of things I've got to do. I'll write them down, most important first, and it saves so much energy, because otherwise you're trying to hang on to all of the things that you want to retain. But yeah, totally go with that.
And also, if you suffer with anxiety or even depression, which can, you know, mess with your memory sometimes, and that can often be heightened at live role-playing events. You know, there's so many people, and everybody's being really loud. Yeah, and the thing is, loads of people who come to live role-playing events have anxiety, so they will understand. It can really help you, because you're not feeling anxious about retaining that information. So I definitely recommend that. Yeah. You've mentioned this in the past. Ask all the questions.
I don't always like asking too many questions. I think people can probably get quite fed up with us newbies. That's the assumption I got. Is us constantly asking all questions that are second nature to everyone else.
Personally, I feel if someone's going to get annoyed with that, then they shouldn't be a role player that you should be role playing with, because they should be open to helping new people.
Well, I think I'm coming.
That's my opinion.
I'm coming more from the perspective I don't want to impose, because obviously people are here to have a good game.
Yeah.
And if they've got some newbie sort of, you know, oh, how does this work? How does that work? Surely that's going to
maybe pick the right times. So, you know, if something clearly really intense is happening, then maybe not pipe up and say, what's going on?
March right into the middle of an argument or something. Oh, by the way, how do I do this?
You got your notebook.
Yeah, instant, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Pick your moment, but don't be afraid to ask questions, because that's how you're going to learn. Yeah, and there are people who are very, very open to sharing their ideas with you and helping you. Some people, they mould their game around that, around helping others.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
That actually leads me quite nicely onto my next one, which is remember it's just a game. Lots of people take LARP incredibly seriously, and it can be damaging.
I've noticed that.
Yeah, it can be damaging. So, for example, I think the best role players are people who are best friends out of character, but then sworn enemies in character, and they have a lot of fun, like playing with that dynamic. But as soon as it gets personal, stop it. You know, because it's just a game, and it's not worth the hurt of anything like that. Or that goes for, you know, any sort of IC relationship. So I don't know if Ned fell in love with somebody.
In character.
Yeah. Again, another can of worms.
Yeah, we'll come on to that in a minute.
Okay. Yeah, and also don't worry about things too much. If you make a mistake, then it's fine. It's just a game, and no one's going to hold you to anything. And if they do, then they're not a great person, and you should not hang around with them.
That makes sense.
It's like real life, you know. Hang around with awesome people, and yay, Ozal is the best. Ozal's the best.
It is a rather good house. I'll give you that.
He's chosen well.
It was basically because of Martin. I happened to be wandering around in a very dazed state. Sort of when I first got here, Martin ended up chatting with me, telling me about it, and I got invited to Brenda's wine tasting party, and next thing you know, I'm in the house. So.
We got him drunk. And hypnotised him.
But it was a good choice.
I think I won't do all of these because this is quite long.
Okay, no worries. Well, let me go on to something you mentioned a minute ago.
IC relationship.
There's in-character relationships.
Yeah.
I find that really like I can't get my head around that. I mean, there's in-character weddings as well.
I know.
It's like how does that work? It's quite an alien concept to me. So it's going to take me a long time, I think, to grasp.
Yeah. So it's definitely. How do I say this tactfully? Dangerous territory. You have to be really careful. You have to be very, very open, I think, with the other person. Be very clear with your physical and emotional boundaries.
I was going to say, it seems to me you literally need to be two different people, like much more literally, if you're in a relationship.
Yeah, totally.
And that's that concept at the moment is very, very alien to me. I might once I get used to the idea of being another character, then that can probably evolve from there. But as it is at the moment, it's very strange. We say, there's an in-character wedding. How does that work? That's just.
Well, the cool thing about each nation is that they treat love differently or relationships differently.
Right.
Yeah. So an encounter we might have later is a leaguish Holly. You know Holly?
Not Holly the Small.
Holly the Small.
Oh, she's the one that's in the video, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So she, you might have to cut this out. But she said, no. So she's League.
Right.
And the way that they flirt compared to the Dornish is like night and day, apparently.
Oh, really?
And she said, "Oh, by the way, I'm really flirty, but my heart is promised to somebody else." And she's like, "Whatever." Yeah.
Okay.
So you'll meet somebody from another nation, and they'll have different opinions. But yeah, you just. Like with any IC relationship, whether it's romantic or friendship or something, you just have to be really clear. And if you sense that they're uncomfortable, stop it.
Yeah.
Don't be
Yeah.
because people are. They will take advantage of the fact that, I was in character. There's
really some
horrible.
real potential. I can see real potential issues there. Sort of out of character.
Yeah.
But
that happened at my first event.
Oh, really?
Yeah, got hounded by a new character, and he was horrible. He was a
Not to put too fine a point on it.
Yeah. Sorry. Cut that
That's
out.
right, I've got a bleep machine. Although I think you can say that's
It's alright.
Don't be it. So basically, don't be it.
Yeah, don't be a guys. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about? What are you excited about this weekend?
I don't know, really. I mean, just the fact of being here, the immersion, for me, the immersion is the thing for me. Just being in another world, because that's what it feels like. I'm really hoping the rain's going to, hold off, and I'm hoping the field's going to get a chance to dry out before we go home, otherwise it's going to be fun and games.
Fun and games are going to happen.
Yeah, well, we might have a little chat later during in-character time.
In kits?
In kits. Possibly. Just a little report back, see how it's going. So, we're back, and today is Sunday morning, and nobody's had any sleep. I got some sleep. These guys are really, really tired. So
tired.
And a lot of people have gone home because of the mud and everything. It's
like the Somme out there.
It's pretty dire out there.
So much mud.
But it has been rather good, hasn't it? Apart from all the dampness and everything, and the mud and the rain.
I think if it weren't for the conditions, this would be one of my favourite events.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know about you guys.
Absolute emotional roller coaster.
Yeah,
your characters had an absolute event, literally.
Sorry, I forgot to introduce you, didn't I?
Hi.
This is Nin, or Tania. Nin's her character name. And you're a medic? Is that right?
Physic.
Yes. Physic. You're a physic.
Like a medic.
Like a medic. Yeah, same kind of thing. So whereas we, myself and Kate are artisans, you actually go out on the battlefield and heal people and things.
Well, not this event,
Crazy
it's too
mofo.
muddy, but yes, I go on the battlefield, I arch things, archery.
The arching
well.
thing.
Oh, so you're a battle-y...
archer medic.
An archer medic. Okay.
That's the thing. Like LARPing looks rubbish on film camera.
Totally.
Like maybe a drone shot of the whole of Anvil. They were thinking of arranging that. I don't know if that's going to happen.
Oh, it was
they did
last
that
time they were.
last event. I think they took drone footage
with the
of
battle.
the
I think
battle.
there was an issue with it though.
No.
Because I know the guys from Tabletop. I think they were possibly going to have a bit of the footage, but it didn't pan out. So I'm not quite sure what the thing is with that.
But I think that's the only way that LARP would look good. Other than that, it looks fantastic on still camera, but it just looks rubbish.
Yeah, some
on film.
cracking photographs, especially when they use all the smoke and everything on the battlefield. There's just some absolutely epic photographs come out of that. But yeah, when you're
Shout out to Beth and Ollie.
Oh, absolutely.
yeah,
Talented.
and got to mention this. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago? We thought we heard somebody. We heard this scream, and we thought somebody was like being killed or murdered, but it was okay. It was just
It was just Bessie the Bard.
Bessie the Bard.
Oh, Bessie.
Just walking along and you.
Best bard in the Empire. Most unique bard in the Empire.
Yeah, I was going to say unique is probably a more appropriate word.
Yes.
But they were brilliant though, because we had a little mini interaction
We
with
did.
her and her
We did.
sidekick. I can't
Her
remember the name.
sister.
Her sister is actually
Her
a sister.
sister.
But yeah, it was just the fact we were walking along. We heard this. I mean, it's just this gut-wrenching scream. We look around and she was there on the guitar. It was funniest thing ever.
It's the perfect example that if you're worried about coming along to LARPing and you can't sing, you can take advantage of that and just run with it. Like I imagine, I don't actually know her out of character name, but I imagine the lady who plays Bessie does sing rather well, but she has gone for the kind of opposite of what a bard does.
I adore her character. There was a fabulous moment a few events ago where Nynaeve's village had been overrun by the husks and her parents had risen from the dead and had to be killed again.
Yeah.
And she was so inspired by the tale that Nynaeve was saying. She said, I'm going to write a song about it. At which point I just went, oh, thank you. I really look forward to hearing that. It was one
Have
of the
you
best
heard it yet?
No, thankfully I think she forgot. So
You
I
start to bleed.
haven't had Bessie's homage to my dead parents being killed again.
She might see this and remind her. I'm not sure how.
I'm not even going to look.
Okay, so what's probably been your best things of this event so far?
Oh man, it's really hard to pick because there's lots of little moments as well. I think for me, for Grania, my character, both of us got to serve the Eternals, who
Oh yeah, I never heard about that.
or the
Well,
Heralds of the
I
Eternals.
sort of got invited that, but I couldn't make it. But
Yeah.
you told me it was quite.
It was
Interesting.
interesting. It was great. It was basically like a formal 3-course meal, and we were there serving this lovely food and drinks, and there was song and poetry, and a man with giant lobster claws.
Oh my gosh, yes.
who had to be
Being
served, being fed by this beautiful, very dainty changeling lady.
Okay.
Who didn't. It was absolutely mad, but that was hilarious.
Sounds like it was one of those you had to be there things.
Yeah.
So, Nin, have you got any memorable moments?
I can't just
Nin's
have
had
two.
a time.
I've had a bit of a time. This event's been quite hard for me out of character with all the mud. I've struggled with the weather. So yesterday daytime was really tough. But actually overall what I'm going to take away from this are some fantastic moments. So Nynaeve's test of metal progress has been made on that, which was great, and we were given a test of wits with 3 riddles and we passed them all because we're glorious.
Glory.
So I now have a skull.
I saw you walking around with that yesterday.
Yeah.
Question mark over my head. What is
Yeah.
that?
Which
Later we should bring like some phys reps and physical representation.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So
show you
I
guys.
have an actual a physical representation of this skull, and it has some magic. So it will it will do something. And that was great. And a particular love triangle that Neneva's been involved in has ended tragically.
Awfully.
So I've cried a lot this event, but it's LARP, so that's a really good thing, because that's one of the weird things about LARP.
Can I highlight a beautiful moment that happened last night?
Yes.
So I came out of the tent and I saw you, and I thought you were laughing at first, but it turned out you were full on sobbing. And I called for your lord, because you're a retainer, and he comes up to you and he's about a foot taller than you.
Yeah, he's 6'6".
He gives you a bear hug and he says,
I come up to here on his chest,
and you're sobbing into his chest, and he takes your shoulders and he says, "You are an eagle." And you're like, I am an eagle. And it was amazing.
That was one of my moments. Was literally sobbing, absolutely sobbing into his chest, gripping onto his tabard like that, and then getting control of myself and regaining my composure.
It's actually giving me a lump in my throat thinking about it.
That was a great moment. And then I ended the evening in song and a lot of cider.
Fizzy apple.
A lot of fizzy apple juice. Having an awful lot of fun with someone from the league. That was great. So, emotional roller coaster of an event. Ups and downs, definitely. Looking forward to seeing what happens.
So I'm talking about the bear hug thing. That was all in character.
Yes.
Yeah,
all in character.
Yeah.
I did. I had someone else actually ask me out of character, "Are you okay?" Because I was sobbing so hard on her shoulder. But I have to put that acting degree to good use somehow. I went to drama school. This is what it gets used for.
Fantastic.
It's very cathartic. LARP events can be very cathartic, and that's one of the things I enjoy. Good emotional role play for me is great.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah, actually, I had that at the last event. I was getting a bit when they were having the eulogies. I was starting to because you get emotionally invested, don't you?
You do. You do. I definitely get very, very emotionally invested in my characters and my character stories, and that cathartic release is something that I use role play for.
Probably quite healthy as well, really. I think sort of from a
I think so.
I find it
mental,
healthy,
emotional sort of standpoint.
and it goes back to Dionysus, and that's what they would go and watch tragedies and cry and get it all out of their system, and for me LARP is actually quite like that. I like a good bit of emotional role play.
That's fantastic.
Great fun.
I think my two highlights I'll take away from this is definitely Bessie the Bard. That was just so funny. We were crying, weren't we? It was just so funny. And I think sort of last night and the night before, when we just the evenings in the tent, that's for me, that's my LARP. I just love the soaking up the atmosphere.
Yes.
This is just such a lovely place to be. Got all the candle lights, everybody's in, so everybody really nice. You can still role playing, and every now and again you get quite a scary figure come in and sort of make demands and things, and it's just brilliant.
That's usually just Zoran wanting more cider, to be honest.
Yeah, just that as well.
Asking too many questions. I was going to say, what's your one aim for E2?
Probably just do more general role play. I think just get used to the idea of role play.
And trying is like sticking in character.
Yeah, because a lot of the time I'm slipping. I've also discovered that Ned doesn't have a posh voice. Ned sounds just like me. So
Cool. That's easy.
And again, I don't have to think so much about it, and it makes it easier to role play without having to constantly do this accent thing.
Well, one tip about that is you can use, the same sort of diction, the same sort of tone as you, but you could have certain things that your character says. So there's that headcam footage, isn't there, from the battle where the Lord is saying, "Hello, old bean. How are you, old bean? Hello, old bean. How are you?"
Yeah.
I know immediately. That's Clarence.
Yeah, that's Clarence. Exactly. And he's not really doing it. He's just calling everyone old bean. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay,
So
I'll
you
have to
can find
think
a
of-
buzzword.
Yeah, I'll have to think
For
up some
Ned.
little
You
words
You
that
can find
you
that
can...
there are certain things that help you sort of slip in and out of character. So for Nynaeve, quite often it's making sure my back is straight. I have my hands in a certain position like that.
Oh, that's your Naveen mode.
That's my Nynaeve mode.
Nynaeve mode. Not Naveen.
And then I ask someone what I can do for them because I am a yeoman, and if there's a noble around, I see if I can do something, and that gets me into character. Usually, it's getting Zoran some cider, fizzy apples,
All right.
more fizzy apples.
Fizzy
Yeah.
apples, I like that.
And Gordon thinks everyone's handsome.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at that handsome person
Yes,
over there.
I see you flirting with what was it? I can't remember his name.
Pious.
Pius. Yeah.
Yes,
You're chatting
flirting
away.
with
You
a
can
noble.
see the eyelids fluttering and the feathers going.
Batting your feathers.
Battering
Not battering, batting your feathers.
It's
Sorry.
his fault.
It's all his fault.
It's all his fault.
Yeah.
Aims for next event? Try not to go.
Trying not to cough. I have aims for the next event. The one I'm going to commit to
Good morning.
camera is to further the test of metal. That's my aim for the next event.
Yeah.
I have other aims, I'm not going to talk about them.
Okay. That sounds intriguing. So we're all going to be here at the next event then.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
I'm going to keep an eye on the weather forecast.
I'm going to pack my wellies.
I must
I'm
admit,
going to
I
pack my
may,
hot water bottle.
I may, I'm going to keep an eye on next spring, and if it's going to be like this, I might not. So,
I think this is just a general curse. No matter what they do for the very first event of the year, it's just
Yeah,
curse.
the last one last year wasn't exactly. Wasn't exactly a
Very first one ever, -10 with wind chill. How was that?
that's just. I mean, that's not good in a van, let alone a tent.
Yeah, I mean,
It's just-
half of us went to the hotel and gave all our bedding to the half that stayed.
Yeah,
It was
that's
that bad.
sort of pile territory, isn't it? You all pile on top of each other for body warmth.
yeah. How much bedding and how many people can we get in?
Right, we
So-
still don't
Oh,
have
I
think
anything
we're
in the
done.
stand.
Okay, well, thanks guys, that was brilliant. I'll edit this and put it up, and hopefully it'll be reasonably unedited. 'Cause it's been quite a good chat. But I have a policy, I never show anyone in a bad light, so you'll be fine.
Because I just threw it away. No, that's
Okay,
just
on
what
that
you
note,
take
thanks for watching guys. Have a great rest of the day.
Bye.
We'll see you soon. Bye.
Because I've started packing up. There's a load
Telly